Hello, this is the sound test for August 15, 2020, and you are looking at Survival Saturday with Johnny Tiger, even though it looks like Toy Thursday with Johnny Tiger. But there is a reason for that. We're going to get to that in a little bit. You know, when we talk about survival and self-defense, sometimes a situation may come up when you least expect it. And that is what self-defense is all about, is to get yourself mentally, physically prepared for those instances that will uh, find yourself threatened or be in danger, and have the confidence that you will know, at least your body will know how to react to it, how to deal with it. I know some people are asking, why are we doing this in the kitchen today? How come we are not in the training room? How come you are not even in uniform? Well, because what we're going to be talking about today is a lot like that. It's more about the kind of things that may happen to you when you least expect. Take tonight, for instance. I was out at the pub with a couple of good friends. Just a regular Saturday night out. We had a couple of beers, and we had our dinners, and we had some really good conversation. And everything was normal. Everything was peachy. Now, just like everywhere else, this pub was observing a lot of social distancing rules. There were posters and notes on the wall, on the bathroom door, about how everyone should act accordingly. Now, I'm not even going to go into the fact that these notices are not in Braille, so someone like myself, who's blind, wouldn't be able to read them or anything. That's kind of beyond the point. Anyway, here in Canada, we don't even have the ADA to fall back upon, which really sucks. You Americans have it way better than we do when it comes to uh, helping the disabled people. But again, that is not the topic of the day. Me and my buddy, we decided to take a washroom break. So we made our way over to the washroom. Now, on the washroom door, there was a big sign, like almost the entire length of the door. There was a big sign that says only two people are allowed inside at once. So when we went in there, the washroom was empty, so we both went in. I did my business, he did his business. I was standing at the sink washing my hands, and suddenly this big bozo of a guy came in, saw that there were two of us in there, ignored the fact that there were two of us, me and my buddy, and there was a big sign on the door that said two people allowed at each time only. He went into the stall and shut the stall door, started attending to his business. My friend, at this point, made the first mistake in the self-defense rule. My friend casually remarked, well, what is the point of having a sign there if people not even going to read it and people are going to break the rule anyway? That's what my friend said. Now, why is this a no-no in self-defense rule? Because the sign on the door, that's not our rule. It's not our job. The pub is not paying us to enforce that rule. So if someone else want to break the rule, that's too bad, but it is not up to us to enforce it. It is not up to us to put ourselves in danger to comment on someone breaking the rule. So that is mistake number one, which then led to the following rather WTF event. After my friend made his comment, he continued to do his business. I continued to wash my hand, and the newcomer continued to do his business in the stall. And suddenly, about 40 seconds after my friend made his comment, I'll say again, about 40 seconds after my friend said his comment, we heard this coming from inside the stall. So you have problem with me, huh? What? What? You coming at me? You coming at me? You think you're good enough to tell me what to do? How the was I supposed to know that there were two of you in here, huh? What? You want to make an issue of it? Okay, come on, come on. Whew. That guy was throwing a tantrum inside the stall. That was so brave of him. I mean, set aside the fact that if I was inside a stall and there were two guys outside, I wouldn't be that brave to start throwing a tantrum and challenging those guys to a fight. But that guy either had too much confidence in his own size, or too much to drink, or was paying most attention to his bodily function that he didn't realize the predicament. He was really cussing us out from inside the stall and banging his fist on the stall wall, all the while. At this point, me and my buddy just kind of laughed at him and we walked out. Yeah, that was probably third mistake. We shouldn't have laughed, but it was funny. It was funny. I mean, here we were in the washroom, and this guy throwing a tantrum 40 seconds after the initial remark was made by my friend from behind the door of a stall, probably sitting on the toilet while trying to be a tough guy. It was really funny. After me and my friend got out of the washroom, got back to our table, we turned to each other and we burst out laughing because it was so hilarious. At the same time, it was so ridiculous. I mean, let's set aside the fact that we don't know what the capability of that person was. The person that was being a tough guy behind the stall door. But I know my capability, and I know my friend's capability. Let me tell you, there are some things that are really, really bad. Some things that could be some of the worst things that can happen to a person in this world. Number one is to go to the washroom and do your business and then realize there's no toilet paper. Number two is to rush to the washroom and then lose control of your bowel before you completely get your pants down. Number three is probably getting into a fight against a blind martial artist who's been trained in various styles and being on a lot of different platforms, fighting in different events, fighting on the street. It would be one of the worst things that can happen to a person in the washroom to get into a fight with Johnny Tiger. I'm not even boasting. I shudder to think about a person getting into a fight in a very limited, closed off environment like that with a guy like myself. You get me on the basketball field, then I'm probably not going to be as effective. But in a washroom that is smaller than this entire kitchen, not a very good idea to get into a fight with a guy like me. Not to mention, I had a friend with me, and that friend is very quick and very strong as well. Just not a very good combination. That's why it was so hilariously ridiculous. But in the end, nothing happened. Nothing physical happened. It was just a dog, all bark, and no bite. But that is not always going to be the case, especially when it comes to real dogs. Sometimes I think dogs are braver than people. I mean, when you think about it, that big of a guy, bigger than both me and my friend, only started talking crap 40 seconds after he locked himself in the stall, thinking that we couldn't get a hold of him, and started banging his fist on the stall wall. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I've seen a lot of dogs that are not very big. Dogs that are maybe 20 times smaller than me that would challenge me and attack me and bite the holy crap out of me. So, in many ways, dogs are way smart, way braver. Maybe not as smart, but way braver than people. Sometimes it's not always all bark and no bite. Sometimes the bite can be worse than the bark. So when you are being attacked by a dog, what are some of the things that you want to remember? And this is why we have my trusty dinosaur here. I don't have a dog, but this should serve as an example. Almost the same size as a medium dog anyway, and it has a lot of teeth. So, what are some of the things that you want to keep in mind when you get attacked by a dog? Number one, when you reach to move the dog away or to touch a dog, it's always important to not open your hand unless you know they are not going to bite you. Because if I reach for this dog and he opens his mouth and chomps down at my finger, if my hands are open and he gets one finger or two finger or three finger, most likely I just lost my finger. Or they get mangled so bad that I won't be able to do anything after that. So keep your hand closed. If the dog wants to bite me, most likely he's going to get part of my fist. Okay, it's much less likely he's going to cause a lot of damage. A very big dog may give my whole fist, but even then, it's way less damage than coming down on my fingers. So when you're reaching to push a dog away, or when you're reaching down to pet a dog for the first time, keep your hand closed. When I am introduced to a new dog, I always put my hand in front of them, my fist closed, let them sniff me, and slowly I roll my hand onto the top of their head and pet them like this. Okay, I do not reach down with my hand open and then run the risk of them snapping off my finger. No, no. Number two, and this is very obvious. When a dog is attacking you, don't try to run. You are bigger than it, even if it's a pit bull, even if it's a Rottweiler. For the most part, you are the same size. or bigger. Now, if I try to run and this thing come up and snap down on my ankle or back of my leg, there's nothing I can do. I'm losing bits and pieces of myself as I'm trying to get away. But if I stand my ground and when this thing attacks me, if I even rush towards it, most likely I'm going to trigger its fight or flight instinct. There's a chance of it's going to just run away. There's a chance of me overwhelming it with my body weight, with my size, getting that upper hand in this conflict. Don't try to run away. You can't outrun a dog. Number three, when you are being attacked, don't try to pull away. Now, this is very, very, very counterintuitive. Almost everybody is going to try to pull away, but that is when you get hurt really bad. Because let's say this thing snatched onto my piece of my arm and I rip away. Okay, I just lost a piece of my arm and now I'm bleeding and thing is open up and coming for another bite and it's just going to take chunks and bits of me every single time that I jerk away, right? So we want to be able to fight that conditioning, that mental conditioning. When this thing is biting me, rather than pulling away, I want to shove right in. I want to throw my body weight into it. Okay, I'll still get hurt. I'll still get cut out by its teeth. But I'm not going to lose bits and pieces of myself because I'm shoving toward its center. I'm shoving toward its throat. Okay, I'm lifting it off its front feet. I'm going to make it tip backward if I can. Right? Also, most animals will have the instinct to get away and spit out whatever's in their mouth if something is being shoved down into their throat. So rather than trying to pull away and lose bits of myself getting ripped off in its jaw, if I push in towards its throat, that will put it on the defensive. Now it feels uncomfortable. Now it feels that something's being jammed down its throat. It needs to let go. Number four, once I jam this in, assuming they're still not letting go, assuming we are now locked in a struggle, I want to try to loop an arm over the head. Okay, now I control the head. I'm bigger, I'm heavier, I'm smarter. I control the neck and the head. Yes, it still have one of my arm or leg or whatever in its mouth, but at least now it's not going to be able to pull back and bite something else if I keep this locked around the neck. Once I lock my arm around the neck, I'm going to push down on its lower jaw. The way animals bite, it's the lower jaw that moves. It's not the upper jaw. So if you try to push the upper jaw, it doesn't go anywhere. It's one solid piece of bone. You'll drive those teeth into your own flesh. But the lower jaw is really quite flimsy on most animals. If I am in here in its mouth, I'm going to push down on the lower jaw. Once I get this headlock on the head, I'm going to drive this down, drive the head down, drive the lower jaw down. Okay? Even if I don't get it to let go, I can at the very least make it so uncomfortable that it is not going to be taking big chunks off of me. Number five, you want to go for the nose if you want to hit them, or go straight for the eyes. nose, eyes. Okay, don't try to beat it on the head. Don't try to hit it on the body. Dogs, cats, a lot of these animals, they're not like human. Human, we have a very good sense of self-preservation. When we get hit on the back, we understand that we might get our spine damaged. We might want to do something about it. Dogs and cats, they don't think that way. Unless it's immediately unpleasant, most likely they are going to ignore you and continue to attack you. You hit it on the head, you hit it on the body, it's just going to bite you harder. But if you attack the nose where there's a lot of nerve endings, drive your thumb right into the eye, that will be different. That will trigger an immediate survival instinct and response, which is trying to get away. Now the fight has gone bad. Number 6, if the animal end up on top of you, let's say you fall down and the animal's on top of you, we see this all the time. People throw their arm up to block this way, arm angle against the animal's neck and head. This is great on the first sight, but if you think about what is going to happen when you put this arm here, if this thing is just going to arm, yum, 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 continue to work on your arm. You don't have a lot of leverage. This arm eventually is going to get too damaged to protect your head. This arm eventually is going to get too tired to hold out even a 40-pound, 50-pound animal. Okay? So, if the animal was to get on top of you like this, what you want to do is actually to, rather than push against its head like this from the bottom, you want to come in and force it to open its jaw and close on your forearm. Okay, it's less likely it's going to bite through your forearm if you wedge this forearm into the jaw. And again, from this angle, bring the lower jaw down in against your chest and then roll over and pin it underneath you. Okay? It's not Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Don't try to ward the thing off by putting a hand against the bottom of his neck. It will just tear your arm to shred if you keep trying to fight it from that angle. Get the arm in there, let it get one good bite in, but at least now you have control of the head and the jaw. Grab a ear if you can, get the eye socket if you can. Keep your arm wedged inside the jaw and then pull it down towards your chest. Aim for that lower jaw. Bring that lower jaw to your chest. Keep the pressure on your arm and then roll over. Now you'll have this thing pinned under you. You'll have a much easier time dealing with it. Now let me quickly say, we're mostly talking about dogs here. You don't want to take these techniques, go trying to get them to work on a polar bear or a shark, uh, something like that. So, quick recap. Number 1, don't open your hand when you reach down to deal with them or to pet them. Keep your hand closed. Number 2, don't pull away. Number 2, don't run away. Rush them. Stand your ground if you can. If you have to fight, drive your weight into them. Number 3, don't pull away from their bite. Shove in toward their throat. Number 4, lower jaw control. Drive the lower jaw down. Number 5, don't hit it on the back and head. Work on the ears, the nose, the eyes, things that will yield you immediate results. Number 6, if the animal ends up on top of you, don't try to ward it off with a forearm to the chin or to the throat. Actually, shove your forearm into its mouth, grab an ear, grab an eye socket, keep your arm here at the back of its jaw so it can't bite you more than once. And then pull this down to your chest and roll over. Pin it underneath you. Thank you for checking out today's Survival Saturday. We'll be back again tomorrow for Soul Search Sunday. Uh, Disclaimer, no animal was hurt during the making of this video, just one dinosaur action figure. I will see you guys later. Have a good night.